Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining in. Just waiting for our special guest for today, Tanya. Hi, Tanya. Good evening. Can you say it, Tanya? I've just accepted it. Don't know why we get this every time. Um, Tanya, can you try sending another one, please? I don't know why I've accepted it, but it's not connected. I've sent you another invite because the other one didn't go through. Oh,
Hey,
awesome. Hi, Tanya. Good
how are you?
evening.
Sorry, it happens all the time.
I know. It just keeps doing that every time. I have to do it the second time or the third time, then it goes through. I know you've had a very, very busy day,
Yeah, it's
but
always like busy Mondays with work.
I know, but it's so good to have you on here
Oh,
today. We're
thank you
really,
for having me, honestly. It's so nice to be speaking to you and to finally be here.
yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. Um, so we're just gonna jump into it because I know you have other things to do. Can you just quickly tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Tanya. I work in the civil service, like day job, and then kind of do a lot online in terms of like the women's advocacy side of things and talk about my endometriosis more than anything. Um, been in a bit of hibernation at the moment, but kind of slowly creeping back out.
Yeah, we need you back out. You've been quiet for a bit.
I know it's been a long couple of months, so I'm just like coming out of the end of that, and then hopefully you'll see a bit more of me.
Yeah. Good, good. So, can you tell for those joining in? I know your story already, but can you just share with them your journey and your story, how you found out you had endometriosis and where it has led you to?
Yeah, I mean, I had a diagnosis at like 27, 28. I started
Mm.
having symptoms around 18, 19 when I was at university, and then like that whole period of time was that diagnosis, going back and forth to the GPs, like having multiple scans, and it just took I think maybe like 8, 9 years just to be heard and just to get the diagnosis. Like
Mm.
you hear everything but endometriosis in that time, and then like symptoms gradually got worse, and I guess it's same for a lot of people that go through this process as well, and then you finally hear endometriosis, and then it's like you're validated for everything that you have been through, but then you've got another process of what treatment works for you, what surgery looks like for you, and what life looks like now that you know what you're suffering with.
Mm. So before you were diagnosed with endometriosis, did you know about it? Have you ever heard about
No,
endometriosis? Did you
I didn't. I
no
didn't know
idea?
anybody else that had it either, and you don't really know anyone around you that
No.
suffers with
Yeah.
it, so like you don't really know who to ask the question to either.
So did you have like heavy bleeding pains and all of that, or was it just the pain alone? or was it
Yeah, it was like a lot
something
of
that
heavy
you
bleeding, I remember, and a lot of like bloating. I used to like faint, be sick, have the nausea. There's a lot of things I wouldn't be able to do, like in terms of maybe going to the gym, or like plans would be cancelled, or you'd have to kind of rearrange around when you'd feel better.
had?
And then that kind of got worse and worse into having the bowel pains, but not knowing, well, not knowing what endometriosis was, but also not knowing that it
Yeah,
could spread. So
yeah,
there was so much that I didn't know, or that
yeah.
nobody told me either. Like,
Mm.
you kind of go to the doctors and they say you're okay, and you're like, okay,
I know
I
I'm
just go about my
not
day.
speaking to you. So were you having more of bowel pain than belly pain? Or was it a
It
combination of both of
was
them?
a combination of both. Like, it started off with the belly pains, and then it got worse into bowel pains, which was also in like around the belly. So I couldn't tell which was which. And then
Yeah.
when I went for the test and the scans, everything came back clear, because nobody was looking for endometriosis on the bowel. And then it
That's
was
it.
just, passed off as IBS, and then passed off as a regular bloated belly. And then
Hmm.
you get given it was like anti-bloating, like
Yeah.
medication to deal with
Yeah.
it, which doesn't work
I
because it's not the
go through
problem.
that process,
And
so I
then,
know what that
yeah,
is. Yeah. They keep saying, "Oh, you sure you don't have ulcer or you don't have IBS?"
exactly,
Everything and anything but endo is mentioned.
exactly.
So when you were diagnosed with endometriosis, what was the process? How long did it take you from finding out to, how did you feel? Did you just feel like validated that you've been saying you knew something was wrong, or did you go through a process of emotions and everything, understanding what it was?
I think the whole thing was quite an emotional roller coaster. So when I first started complaining to the GP, they eventually sent me to a community gynecologist, which
Mm,
they can deal with, I guess, lower level abdominal problems
yeah.
locally without having to go through a hospital. But
Mm,
they also just did kind of ultrasounds, and then that was like once every couple of months, and then they couldn't see anything. So I think they got to the wit's end as well. And then when they couldn't do anything, they were like, oh, okay, I guess we'll send you to the hospital now, rather than just going directly to the hospital. So that kind of wasted a year and a half of just going back and forth to them, and then finally getting to the hospital, having the transvaginal scan that
yeah.
showed all the endometriosis everywhere. They could see like my bowel endometriosis on there as well,
Wow. I
because it was
never
that bad.
could think of.
Yeah,
Wow.
because they knew what they were looking for as well, and because it was that bad, they could see it. And then I had the MRI to confirm it, and then I had the diagnostic lab to confirm what they already knew, and
Yeah.
then had larger surgery to excise that, and then get the stoma bag from that. Had stents as well for a couple of months, and then to kind of remove all the endometriosis from where it was.
So this part of your story, I got me very upset, I must confess. Because I know when I had my surgery last year and they said it was 50% chance of me waking up with a stomach bag, I was so paranoid. You went into surgery with no idea, no clue whatsoever that you could wake up with a stomach bag. You were not told anything about having a stomach bag or how bad you could have bowel endometriosis.
No, I woke up, just like patted down my stomach, and then cried. Like, no warning at all.
Well, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, um, so Tanya's got something called an ileostomy bag. Should I let you explain that?
Yeah. So it's an opening on the stomach where your bowel comes out. So you essentially do your poos from the opening on your bowel into a bag on the stomach, and not through your back passage as you normally would. So it's kind of redirected internally.
So
Um,
yeah.
like, because of the issues with the bowel, I had a bowel resection, and then they put your bowel through the stomach.
Yeah. So because the endo had gone really deep into her bowel, they had to resection it, and in the process, she's lost the use of the natural way of using her bowels. It's been connected to the belly area. So she has to use a bag, a stomach bag, which she can empty, change, clean, and all of that. The issue is, the problem for me is not that she has that. The problem is she went into surgery without any of the surgeons telling her she was going to be coming out with one. She wasn't prepared for that. She had pre-assessments. You always have pre-assessment before surgery, but no one mentioned that she would be coming out with a bag. And I
They always tell you it's a
find it,
risk. Like
yeah.
it's a risk you have a stoma, but you don't need it.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
you don't then ask the questions.
It made you feel like, because when I went in, I was told it was 50% chance I was waking up with one. So I had in my head it could happen. So when I woke up, the first thing I did was I placed my hand on my belly, and there was nothing there. I was so happy. So it's a mindset thing. You went in there without knowing you're going to have it. That's going to give you a proper mental breakdown.
It was hard. It was hard to, when you come around and you realize what's happened. It was like the next day you kind of get the breakdown of what surgery was like, what happened, was it successful, did they manage to get everything? And then to kind of hear that that has happened. And obviously I understand the rationale behind it now. I didn't understand it then. They
Because
did
they
the
tried to
surgery,
say, yeah.
and they couldn't not do it, which I'm thankful for in hindsight. But
Uh,
in that moment, it was really difficult to come to terms with something that you've not been prepared for or not seen anybody about, and then your kind of whole body's altered, and you have to learn something new that
yeah.
you have no idea about, and you have no idea to navigate, let alone for me, for my family, for my friends, to kind of explain that to them as well.
Yeah. And then you have to learn how to do all the changes and cleaning and everything.
Yeah.
I know now it's become it's a second nature to you now, isn't it? Because
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
how
Don't
you
have a
are
choice.
now. No, no. But that's just to show how strong you are. Every single person who's gone through these things, as women, we have to just say to ourselves, we are strong,
Yeah,
because
of course.
it takes a lot to go through that process. And also, I know having surgery for endometriosis, it doesn't mean it's over.
No, and you hear so many people, they say, it comes back so quickly, or at some point they're going
Yeah.
through some sort of symptoms again and again. And it's just, everyone's on their own journey, and nobody realizes how difficult it is. Like, it's such a roller coaster of emotions to think something is over and then have to go through that process again.
Mm, mm, mm. So what would you say regarding the process which you got your diagnosis and everything? Do you think I mean, it's been a few years, hasn't it? Do you think there's any difference between then and now? Do you think it's better? It's gotten better?
Do you know what? It's been so better for me, and I'm so thankful for that. Like, I had amazing doctors when I went to the hospital, and like the follow-up care, I honestly cannot complain about. And when I've had issues, it hasn't been like a massive task to go and see them again, even though it takes a couple of months and it might be a few chasings, but they've overall been really good.
Okay.
But in terms of like getting used to the stoma, that was more difficult, and then the recovery afterwards was really difficult. But now, I mean, my endometriosis came back as well, so it's kind of navigating what that looks like, and it's a different ball game. Like, as you get older, it's thinking about that, thinking about fertility, thinking about how to preserve that, where I didn't have to think about all of that 5 years
Before.
ago. Yeah. Maybe I should have, but nobody had that conversation with me, so I didn't know.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
you didn't have the conversation about that. No, they didn't.
No, because it's kind of, for me, I feel like it was mentioned, and then I think everyone presumes that surgery will be successful, therefore you won't have any more problems. So it wasn't discussed about fertility preservation and what that looks like either, or how that impacts your ovaries. And as you get older, like I'm 33 now, what that means for my body moving forward. And it's not just endometriosis, I have adenomyosis as well. I was told I have PCOS last year. So there's so many more things that get thrown into the mix that you don't think about, but now you're forced to think about it.
Oh, that is a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, the last thing in your mind would be having a baby, so you wouldn't actually think about it. But yeah, now you
Yeah,
do have to, especially if you're gonna or you want to have kids, you have
like
to know if you're gonna be
really
freezing
think
your
ahead.
eggs. Yeah, you have to. You have to. Adenomyosis is another
Yes, another ball game.
horrible, horrible. I mean, I had that for so many years and struggling with my periods and going in and out of hospital. I didn't even for a minute think I had endo because all I knew was I had adenomyosis. It went from fibroids to
Oh goodness.
adenomyosis, and I was just going in and out of hospital. And they kept saying, well, just have a hysterectomy done. I was like, I want to have kids. But I was bleeding for months and months and months. It
Wow.
wasn't like I was bleeding for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It just kept increasing from weeks into months, staying longer. I'm passing out, having to have blood transfusions, iron infusions. And I'm wondering, is this normal? Like, they're not even telling me. I've they actually found that I had adenomyosis in 2012, but I wasn't told. It was when I was checking through some files, I found one of the letters they gave to me. It was written there, but no one discussed it with me. It
So
wasn't
how did you manage after like that? That's a long time to,
2018. From
yeah.
2012 to 2018, I had the MRI done because I was getting worse. That's when they said, "Oh, you actually have adenomyosis," and it was really, really bad. So they said, "You know what? You just have to have a hysterectomy done." But I tried my best to carry on like I didn't want to believe it. And I know everyone's talking about fertility, fertility. When you are in pain all the time, the last thing you're thinking about is having a child. You're not thinking about that when you're in pain. You just want to get better. I was in pain, period or no period, I'm in pain. So I wasn't even thinking about, oh, freeze my eggs, don't freeze my eggs. I was like, I know once I'm better, I can have a child. That's all I was saying to myself. And eventually, I got so bad. I was in hospital for about a week plus. And then they said, no, they had to check again. And that's when, because I was having a lot of bowel issues. And they checked, I had the colonoscopy. And they said, oh, they found two polyps in there. They took it out. There's nothing. I said, but this pain, you know. And then they had another MRI done, and then they found out, and then I had the laparoscopy. Is it hysteroscopy? I think hysteroscopy. Well, they found out I had endo, and it was in my bowel. So that's when they said, you know what, the chances of you having a stomach bag is 50%. I was like, what? At that point, I was just fed up. I just said, you know what, I'm just going to have this done. And it already, the endo had affected damaged my ovaries, damaged my fallopian tubes. Now it's gone in my bowel. So I was like, what's going to be left?
It's so difficult
So
to
I
go
did,
through as well. Like
yeah,
by the time anything gets done, the damage is already done
it's
anyway,
already,
and then you're
yeah.
just like firefighting for what's
It's
left.
not like you just, exactly. It's not like you're trying to save anything at this point because it's gone so bad. And I've been screaming for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So I had to take out 4 organs. And I took out my ovaries, my fallopian tubes, my uterus, and my cervix. So it doesn't mean I don't have endo, by the way. I still got it. They took out as much as they could. But yeah,
It's
hoping that with the
shocking to hear. Like there's always something, like every time I hear
yeah,
something that's happened, it's like the next thing is even more shocking and the next person has an even more shocking story. And
I
it's just, it
know.
shouldn't be that
I
way. It should
it
like it
shouldn't,
shouldn't get to
no,
the
it should
point
be
of you
doing
literally
better. That's
being
what
on
I'm
the
saying. It should be
floor
getting
before
better,
anything
shouldn't it?
happens.
That's it. That's the whole idea why we've gone into being educators and advocates for these things, because you want people to know early enough so they don't get to the point where it's already too late when you find out. Because I don't think I
Yeah,
want
absolutely.
anyone, I don't think I want anyone to get to the point I got to and not have a choice, because I didn't have a choice.
That's what I
There
think
was
is
no choice.
amazing. There's so many platforms out there, and yourself included, speaking to so many people. The more people say their stories and are able to get out there in the way that they feel comfortable, is the more awareness they spread. Whether it's like talking to your friends and family or someone in your
Yeah.
workplace, you never
Yeah.
know who you might impact with the information that you share.
Yeah, because even if it's just one person, it's going to go a long
Yeah,
way, and that's
of
what's
course.
important. That's what's important. So, now that you found out now that you have endo again, have they told you where it's located this time?
On my ovaries, which is
No.
where the whole journey with the fertility side of things comes into play.
Really?
So
Oh,
it
no.
really is never ending. Yeah.
And we have no idea what to do to stop these things.
No, it's just you find the best way to manage it, and you find the best way to have the best parts of your day or your life or your month and go from there, don't you? And
Yeah.
I think for me, I just try not to let it dictate how I
Yeah.
live my life.
No.
You have to manage it one way or another, but trying to do as much as you can in between whilst you can.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear. I didn't know this part. I'm so sorry. So where did the name Tanya Living Free come from?
I don't even know. It was just one of those things. Like I think I was talking to like some friends, and they just said like you're always doing something, or you're always abroad, or you're always trying to not let the condition bring you down, and you're living freely. So why not just put the living free at the end of it? I was like, oh, it sounds so cheesy, but it's just stuck since then.
It is a lovely name. So do
Oh,
you
thank
model?
you. No, I just whenever there's things kind of like the opportunity comes up to do something is when I kind of put myself forward. I kind of get imposter syndrome doing it. I get really shy doing it as well, but it's something that I'm trying to get out of a little bit more. And I think just for the representation side of things as well, like when I first started talking about my story, there wasn't a lot of women that I could see that had a stoma bag that also had endometriosis. There wasn't a lot of brown women out there. So it's something that I like to do to kind of show others how to live with a stoma bag or how they can live with endometriosis and not let that define them. And then just, yeah, I think when the time comes to, like we're doing, to share your story and to be that voice, it's something that I kind of take pride in and want to do more of and share more of. So it's always good, I think, when those chances come up.
Mm. You're doing excellently well already.
Thank
Trust me.
you.
Don't shy
And
away
you
and
as
don't
well.
hide. Oh, thank you. Don't hide yourself anymore, please. Come out. Come out. We need people. We need more people because at first I used to say there's so many people advocating. Why should I join in? But I realized I went for a few events and I'm hearing people saying, I never heard of fibroids before. I've never heard of this before. I'm thinking, how how haven't you heard about it? But then I realized it's because I've got it. I found out I had these diseases, and I've been learning about them and studying them and researching. So I've learned a lot about them. Doesn't mean the next woman knows it. You know, it's not the same as saying, "Oh, I've got a headache, I've got a fever." So we think there's too many people doing it, but at the end of the day, we've got millions of women out there who don't know anything about it.
It's really not
So we
enough.
need.
And
No, you think there are enough, but we don't have enough.
no,
The
and
more
I think
voices,
just
we
by you
soon, yeah.
speaking, you educate the next person, and we all do our own research. We all talk amongst each other online, or we find a community. So, as much as you
Mhm.
can share, I think is as much as you probably give someone else the voice to talk up, or someone else the voice to go to their GP and complain about their periods, and have that education.
Mm. Yes. So what do you do to advocate for on your part? You said you do advocacy. So what do you do to advocate?
I talk a lot within work, within like managers, within like friendship groups. I've done like talks here and there as well when opportunities have come up. It was like mainly through Instagram as well before I went into my hibernation. Um, but even just like talking in the workspace, I think has opened up to so many other people, either telling me about their periods or telling me that they've been to the GP, or they know that someone else has got endometriosis, or they've been educated to then support their friends and their family that have been through that diagnosis, whereas
Mm.
they wouldn't have known otherwise without having that conversation. So I think it's just important to, there's like so much of a different demographic at work as well. So being able to speak openly but not kind of make it taboo for somebody else to understand has really helped me kind of advocate more for like women's health in the workspace,
Space.
or like educate somebody else that may then go on to speak to another family member or another friend about what that looks like for them, to say, you know, I know someone who has it, or I've met someone that has it, which is amazing. It's amazing to hear back that the word carries on. So even though you might be quiet in one aspect, another aspect is just to keep talking.
Mm. That's amazing. It's really good because even in the workplace, a lot of women can't express themselves. It's really bad. Like, you have to act normal when you're in a lot of pain. So if you're able to speak to not just the women, also to the men, that would be amazing. Like I've been saying to a lot of people, don't focus just on women. We need the men as well. We need the men to support us. We need the men to understand what we're going through. Some days we're not strong enough. Some days you can't even get out of bed. Some days you can't even clean up.
Yeah.
If you have a man around you, why not? You just need that support, that encouragement. So it's the same thing when you're in the workplace. You need the same support with the men around you. And I know it's a bit difficult. Some men feel like, oh, we're just acting as drama. It's just in our head, you know. Uh, but it's not. It really is not. I'm not a lazy person, and you know, just you. I remember when I was working in the bank, I used to go and hide in the toilet and cry my eyes out
Same.
because I couldn't manage. Manage. I
Same.
was like, oh my God. And then I have to come out and smile. It's ridiculous.
You know, and someone's
Honestly.
put a comment saying most women have to pretend, and it's so true. Like you
Yeah.
almost go in and you want to save face without showing that you're going through something. And when I had my
Yeah.
surgery the first time round, it's almost like your career gets put on hold as well, or like
Mm.
job prospects get put on hold, and you don't realize how much that is impacted as well. And a lot of people have their finances impacted, or you know, it's just the continuous thing. And then to pick that back up, you always need the strength to get through one thing, to do the next thing, to do the next thing, and you're kind of geared towards to just keep going without stopping.
Honestly, that's the word, without stopping. It's it's mind blowing. I remember when I used to go to work, I'd hold on to the walls to get to where I was going to, brace myself, and then walk in, standing tall. I'm dying, and I'm like smiling, hello, and doing everything. And every minute I get to lean on something and I hold on, it's like my entire body is going to crumble. And that pain, it was it was miserable. But you know, especially women, if you're, I mean, I'm not married, I don't have kids, and I'm struggling. So I kind of imagined women who have families, like they have children, they have a husband, they need to take care of them, they need to cook, they need to go to work, do everything that a woman should do, and still go through that pain. I mean,
It's amazing that
we
you
do
still
need,
find a way to get through it. You still find a way to do what you have to
yeah,
do and wake up the next day and do it all again, don't you?
exactly. And this is why we need the men to come on board and join in because we can't do it by ourselves.
No, I agree.
Yeah. And then again, also, hello everyone. Thanks for joining in. Also, with the BAME community, that's another problem. The BAME community, because of our cultures and religions and all of that, the women can't even come out to say, "Oh, I'm struggling with this, or I'm going through this." Do you
Yeah,
have any ideas about, or I don't know what area you're from, if you know anyone that's going through those struggles?
it's such a taboo generally, I think, for like black and ethnic minorities, Asian like backgrounds and cultures to speak about their periods. And to even speak openly about it as well. So like I was saying, when I went to the doctor and the doctor said you're fine, you go back home and you're like, oh, they said I was fine, so I must be okay. And because like I don't think my parents knew what endometriosis was, so they wouldn't have known to then fight that corner. So when you're saying everything's okay, everything is okay. So I think that makes it difficult in that aspect as well. And then going to see doctors that are also of an ethnic minority, you get the taboo that almost those periods are normal. You know, how much suffering can one take, or like, is that normal for our ethnic backgrounds? Is that normal for our culture? And then what do you do moving forward? So I don't know how much education is now, or if it's any better now, how much education is needed to kind of take that taboo away, to have it as an approach that pain is pain, or whenever you know that what's you're not normal is how far you go the next time, and how much you complain, and what treatment is then offered to you at the time.
Yeah. It hasn't changed much, trust me. Even I still get people saying, why do I come out to talk about it? They feel like it's something that's going to affect me, like, you know, but already I'm going through a lot. So why wouldn't I speak up, speak out? Because it's really unfair to say, because it's going to bring shame to the family, or it's going to, you know, it's a taboo. How do you talk about periods? Something you shouldn't talk about is filthy. A lot of women can't do it because of that. And they're thinking mostly not about themselves, they're thinking about their family, the extended family, their mothers, their fathers, their relations, not themselves. But you need to think about yourself first. You're the one going through the process. You know,
Yeah, I think that's why it's important.
you can't get any help or any support if you're not speaking up. If you act like you're okay when you're not okay, then you wouldn't learn.
Yeah,
We didn't get to the point we are now if we didn't ask questions.
and I think that's why it's important for these kind of platforms as well, and the work that you do. So someone else might see what you do and think, well, I've got now the strength to go and talk about it or to mention it.
No.
You know, someone might reach out to you just to ask how to do that. So I think the more people that do talk about it, it gives someone else the opportunity, hopefully, to then either reach out or find the courage for themselves to speak openly or speak more, to go and advocate for themselves, because they might not know how to do it, or they might not see anybody else that looks like them doing it,
That's
which
it.
they might take courage from. And you may know or never know. So it's just, I guess, to keep going, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really true. Because, yeah, talking about, you know, the color or someone from your tribe, you've not seen anyone going through it or coming out, then you feel like, no, I'm not going to be the first. It's so right about that. Yeah, so Elizabeth, Mama JJ's asked, I think under the Equality Act, a physical or mental condition which has a substantial and long-term impact. I don't know where the rest went. Uh, okay, I think she's referring to, I think, oh, there's a bit at the top. There
I
should
think
be
there's
leaning
things you
to the
can put in place,
workplace for women's health. Yeah.
and things like occupational health, and like like reasonable adjustments and things like that, depending on the type of work that you do. And I've kind of had those conversations as well, like with work when I had surgery, as to what that looks like for me. So I think it's as much as you speak about it as well, but and how that impacts you in the workplace, but also having managers and colleagues that are receptive to that. So
Yeah.
that can be half the battle in itself, if people don't understand how that impacts you, because it's something that can't be seen. So they might just see you in pain, but they might not know how a period will impact you and your whole body. So I think it's finding the balance between the employee side, which is really difficult. And you hear so many horror stories that, people lose their jobs and everything, which is really unfortunate. And then I don't
Yeah.
know what happens next, really, because it's really hard to kind of get into that space.
Yeah. It should be considered by employers. Oh,
Yeah, I
yes, that's what a lot
agree.
of people are pushing for this now. So that's what they said. For people who advocate and working, if you're bold enough, do a course or a training. I think Well-being of Women they have a course on their website. It's free. It helps. You can go through the training, and I think they're the ones. I've done their one. I don't know. I think a few other people have that, but I know Well-being of Women have that on their website.
But I
So
think it
it
starts with
can,
something really simple, like just make
yeah,
sure you
so
have pads and tampons in the toilets, you know,
exactly,
like I think you have to
yeah,
make women feel comfortable not
yeah,
hiding their period in the first
yeah.
instance and then having those conversations afterwards.
But someone has to start it in the office. Someone has to speak to the manager or whoever it is.
Yeah,
So
or if
who's
it's
gonna
like
do?
diversity and inclusion or someone that does
Yeah,
that kind
who's
of
gonna
role,
do the
HR.
yeah, you know? But if you don't have the right people in HR to do it, then
Yeah,
it's never gonna be done. If you don't have anyone going through this process or going through the challenge, who's gonna speak up? Not everyone's bold enough to say, you know what, I
no,
want to do this on behalf of the women, you know. But it does need to be spoken about, even if it's going to be in a team meeting or during your, you know, whatever it is you're doing. Someone needs to bring it up and they discuss it and decide, you know what, let's start with the little things. Little things like providing sanitary towels in the bathroom, providing, you know, time off or time out for the staff during work if they're in pain.
yeah, or even if it's you
It's just
get somebody in to talk, you know,
yeah,
someone might reach out to you and say, oh, would you mind coming to a team meeting or something? And I don't know how easy that is for some employers or employees, but
yeah.
it's something so
I
simple
know.
as
I mean, they'll
well. It might not
think
need
it's
to be
work
the person themselves. Yeah,
yeah,
bring you in.
because honestly, these things affect us mentally. I mean, I'm seeing a therapist. I say this all the time. I know people will be like, "Are you losing it or something?" But yeah, it breaks you down to a point where you actually need to speak to someone. So if you're able to do that at work, it's something because these things when you have someone showing love, showing care, you know, encouraging, speaking to you, pouring into you, it's something that helps us when we're in that space during that period. But when you have someone screaming at you, shouting when you're in pain, it's only just going to make it worse because stress is like food to these things. It's
Yeah,
just, you know, it's like just making it worse. So we need these things to be spoken about at work. I mean, you go into places like public toilets and stuff. There's some places you walk into, there's free condoms and stuff, but you can never find, you know, free sanitary
yeah,
towels.
yeah,
We need these
exactly.
things in place for women, you know, because you can never tell when you need it. You might run out and you need it. And sanitary towels are so expensive now. My
Yeah,
goodness.
I agree. But you'll never find someone not willing to give you one when you need it.
True. I agree. True. Um, he says there has to be a great stance on this. Women get treated unfairly because they can't see the pain. You are right. Oh yes, she's agreeing to what we're saying.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So I've I wouldn't say I've spoken. I've had a chat with a few women who are about to have surgery and they are going to be having ileostomy bags, but they're so scared. They're so paranoid about it, and they're worried about how people would see them, how they're going to manage. You know, what do you have to say to women like that, and to young girls who have no idea what it is, so that they can know as well?
You know what? In hindsight, I would say if you know that you have a chance of having one, like reach out to people that do have one and just ask the questions. Like I'm always happy to answer questions. I get quite a few people message and ask me, you know, what do I do when I have one? What happens after surgery when you do have one? So I think just it seems sometimes easier to speak to a stranger rather than speaking to people that are closer to you. And I've done that myself as well. I kind of just randomly message people and ask for help when you need it. So I think always maybe try and find somebody that is going through or has been through it to ask any of those questions to. And then always do your own research. I know it's really difficult that it's not supposed to be for the patient to have to dig out their own information, but there's so much information out there that can tell you about dietary requirements and maybe like how to dress or what's comfortable for you afterwards. But then in the long run, like for me, all those things go out of the window. It's kind of the initial period after surgery that I was more careful than anything.
Yeah.
But now my bag isn't a hindrance at all. It's, if anything, it's giving me my life back and something that I didn't know that I needed.
Yeah.
So now I eat whatever I want. I can go out as much as I need to. I can go on holiday without thinking about the toilet. I can go to a restaurant without thinking about the toilet. And to not, as much as it sounds scary, hopefully when you do have your life back, in hindsight, it's not as scary as what you thought it was going to be. And as much preparation as you can. I would, if I had known I was going to get one, a lot of people should see a stoma nurse beforehand to kind of get marked out. They get given a stoma kit to understand what the bag feels like and how that looks like on their stomach as well. So if they don't manage to get that, there's organisations online you can hopefully, I think, sign up for to get sample bags and just understand that for yourself as well, and get comfortable with knowing how to change it, or like just feeling it, what that looks like, put that on your stomach. Like it wasn't so long ago I got my family and friends to all put stoma bags on their stomachs to and fill it up with water to see what that feels like for me, for them. And it was quite something to hear their responses, because I think they know what I go through, but not to keep it for a whole day or a night. Yeah.
So it's true. You they stick it and then put water in it, so it's gonna be like a bit weighty.
Yeah. So I got them to put water in it during the day, so it did get weighty, like it would fill up normally. Sorry?
And walk about with it.
Yeah, walk about. Some of them went to the gym, some of them, were going about their day, just staying at home, or like some of them wore tight clothing, some of them had loose clothing. It's all the things that they didn't know that I would have to think about, that they thought about during the day. Some of them went to work. It was amazing just to hear their responses.
Oh. And how did they feel?
You know, it gave them a better understanding of what I go through, even just for an hour. So
yeah,
I'm quite fortunate that they wanted to do it as well and to understand that, which is amazing.
That's really amazing. So did they like forget about it after a while, or they were very conscious that it was there?
A bit of both, I think, because it was so new to them. Some of them noticed that it was there. Others, again, they went about their day and forgot that it was there until they had to take it off. So it's a whole new world, but it's not one that's like, what's the word? It's not the end of the world, if anything. So I would say don't be afraid to speak up if you do have any questions, or you do need to vent or be angry. That is all okay as well. Like, it's okay to feel like you don't know what's going on. It's okay to feel all the emotions as you go through it. Like when I first had mine, I couldn't even look at it. I would faint looking at it. I'd have chocolate before I changed my bag because I couldn't look at an organ coming out of my body. It was horrible. So, we've all been there. It's just, it takes time to get used to it, and time's the only thing, really.
True. So, all in all, I think it's the bottom line is you survived it. You're living normally. You're able to open your bowels when you want to open your bowels. You're not struggling. You're not in pain doing that anymore. So I think technology and medicine is taking us to a good place, which is amazing. What have they said? Considering that the endo is back, what are the plans now? Are they going to have another excision, or is it in a place where, or is it where you can't get it off?
The endometriosis is manageable for now, so it's looking at what treatment moving forward, or what kind of like contraception or pill might support that for now. Yeah, I know. It's another journey just to understand what is what. And now I know better. I'm not just going to take, the doctor's word for it. So now I know more, because obviously before they give you something and you're like, okay, I'll take it. Didn't do my research. So it's understanding all of that for now, but also the fertility side of things. So what's the next best option in that sense?
Yes.
The stoma bag's almost separate from that, as its own bowel issue rather than impacted by the endometriosis. So unfortunately, it hasn't spread far up to my bowel. It's just kind of within the ovaries at the moment.
Yeah, not going close to your bladder either. We don't
I
want
hope
that
not.
as well. No,
I've been there, done
don't
that as well. I hope not.
no. Um, uh, you mentioned a stomanist.
Yes.
Never heard that before. So is that someone who deals with the stoma bags?
Yeah, there's specialist nurses that deal with like all things stoma. So in the hospitals, you have a stoma nurse that will come and see you when you've had surgery, and then they kind of discharge you to your local hospital, your local area where the nurses are based.
Yeah.
So I've got one that is not so far from me in the hospital locally to me. So if there is any issues, I'm fortunate enough that they're quite responsive, so I can pick up the phone to them or like leave a voicemail and they'll come back within 24 hours. Or if it's an emergency, they'll come back a lot sooner. But I just have yearly checkups with them now because thankfully I don't have that many problems with mine. But they should be within every region, I believe.
Okay. Never heard that. I've learned a new thing today. Thank you for that. So does that mean that if you're not careful or clean, you can get an infection?
I'm not too sure about infections, but like for me, it's things like when I'm exercising, I need to be mindful of how I exercise with my abdomens because I don't want to risk getting a hernia. Um, Things like sneezing and coughing. Every time I get a cold, I seem to have a little hernia bump because you don't realize as well when you sneeze, your stomach tenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hay fever season is never fun. Um, yeah, so I had that last year, and then thankfully mine went down, but sometimes I just get a little bump on my like around my stoma and I start panicking. Um, so I hate having colds because of that, and then hay fever because of that as well. And then it's just making sure like strengthening the muscles around my abdomen has helped me personally. So just try to maintain that as much as I can. But there's things like stoma belts and other support, like supportive underwear and other kind of clothings that can help different people with different things, whatever they're going through.
Oh, okay. So you mean you're going to the gym with that?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. But you don't get any pains anymore in your abdomen, lower abdomen or
Oh, I
anywhere? Like,
still do, and then I stop, and then I go back again.
okay, okay. Oh, I was wondering if that's gone. I said that's amazing then.
Oh, I
I
wish, I
never
wish,
could
I wish.
I've never been to the gym. So never been there, I don't know. Okay. So let's move away from um talking about endo. I'm sure a lot of people have learned something today. I've learned about ostomies today, so thank you for that. Um, when you're not advocating or working, what do you do? I know you've mentioned a little
Travel,
bit of saying you like
eat
to
food,
travel.
go out,
Love your food.
go to the gym, or kind of anything fitness related, and then
Okay,
just enjoy life.
it's amazing. So, did you have to change your diet after your surgery, or
Yeah,
you can still
yeah.
eat whatever you
I
want?
changed. So I mean, I didn't really have a terrible diet beforehand, but it wasn't the best.
Mm.
So after surgery, there's like specific foods you can and can't eat. I think they have a low fiber diet just for your bowels to get used to how to function now that your weight is going a different way. So I kind of changed my diet from then to be a lot more healthier, should I say. I've kind of cut out processed foods, cut out a lot of sugary things, and have the sugary stuff more in moderation than the amount I was consuming before.
Yeah.
Um, and then a lot more fruit and veg as well. But again, for me, when I have vegetables, I kind of have to boil them and skin them because I don't tolerate that very well. I don't tolerate raw foods very well at all. So
Oh,
I have to cook
okay.
it differently than what I would normally.
Normally,
Yeah.
but I'm
And then that
can't
kind
have
of,
salads.
no, I don't do
Yeah.
salads. For me, that doesn't, yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
But even just like going out, and my friends understand that, so they kind of know what to look out for as well. So it's easy enough to eat out as well, whereas before it was a lot more difficult.
Mm.
Um, But yeah, I eat probably better now than what I did before. And even with the gym, I'm kind of more aware of my diet and what I have and how to manage that better again than what I was before.
That's great. Maybe you start sharing your meals with us on your page. You can have an
One
idea.
thing at a time.
Just saying it's just an idea. It doesn't
I'll
have to be
add
right
it to my
now.
list.
So people can come on your page and say, "Oh, I can use this to eat." You can never tell.
No, that's a good
The little
idea.
things, the little things always,
Yeah,
they go a long way.
absolutely.
So, um, if you were given one wish right now, what would you wish for? That would be granted immediately. What would you wish for?
I'd want a cure for endometriosis, but I'd also wish for like all the women or anybody that suffers with anything that feels that they don't have a voice to know that they do have a voice or to find the courage to speak, um, and to find the courage to help themselves feel better through what they go through. So I'd want everyone to kind of just bring it out of them and to not feel like whatever
You're
they're going
alone.
through, that doesn't matter, they're not alone. Yeah, that there's light at the end of the tunnel whenever they find the courage to get there.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you so much for coming in, Tanya. I have really, really loved
Oh,
to
thank
that tonight.
you for having me. It's been so nice to
Yes.
speak to you beforehand and now like be here as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so good. And I know that you've been very busy, but you still made out time to come out
Oh, of
tonight,
course.
and I really appreciate it. And you have given us a lovely session because we have learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of people have learned. Do you have it? Does anyone have any questions? Hello, lovely heritage, Victoria. Hi, Alaji, sweetheart, my darling. Hello, my darlings, my little Sparkle, Sparkle Junior. Hello, Nina. Hello, everyone. There's so many. It's going too fast. Messages. Does anyone have any questions before we go? Any questions before we go? Um, I don't think there are any questions. We've answered the other
Oh,
questions earlier. Yeah.
hopefully. They know
Hi,
where we are.
hi, Sparkle Junior. Yeah. Thank you so much, Tanya. We really
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
you coming out. And for those who don't know, a stomanist is someone, I'm talking now like a professional. I've learned something today.
Spread the word.
Hi, human light therapies. Hi. A stomanist is someone or nurse, I think preferably a nurse, isn't it? They're
Yeah,
nurses
they're nurses.
that take care of the stomach area and teach the patient how to take care of it as well. I'm going to read more about it, but I've just learned that today. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
thank you for having me.
if you'd like to ask any more questions, you can always go to Tanya's page and send her a message. It's Tanya Living Free on Instagram. Thank you so much, Tanya, for taking time to join us, and we hope that sometime during the year we can call you back and have
I would love that. And to
news.
see you hopefully in real life.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to do that this year. You take good
Perfect.
care.
You
Thank you for
too.
coming in.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye, bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.